and welcome back to Sports Talk with Dad. Another amazing episode lined up for you today, including the one and only Tracy Lynn later on in the show. You don't want to miss that. But as always, before we get started, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man who I am now positive is a reptilian, my dad, Tim.
Says the man in an ugly green vest, but why am I a reptilian?
Because I walked down to the studio today,
getting
ready to record this show, and it was 500 goddamn degrees in the studio.
No, it wasn't.
So you must be a reptilian and be cold-blooded, because it was 500 degrees in the studio. I might as well have walked into the sun.
Okay, it wasn't that hot.
It was that hot. You had the temperature set to 86 degrees.
I didn't change it. It's what you had in your office.
I don't turn that thing on. It was reset because I haven't used it since last winter when it was negative 50. You had it at 86 degrees in the studio, and you were like, I'm comfortable. I was going to wear my cool Sports Talk with Dad shirt too, but I couldn't breathe in long sleeves.
I think you're whining.
I am not whining. I am explaining to the audience that you must be a reptilian. Like, you must be cold-blooded.
I will admit to getting colder as the years go on. My blood has never thickened up since we moved back here from Florida.
It was so hot in this studio. And by the way,
yes,
it may be ugly, but I make this look good. It's just how it works. Honestly, I found it in my closet. I'm like, I haven't worn this in forever, and it's really light, and I won't sweat in the studio.
Keep selling.
So I'm gonna get the Sports Talk logo on this, and then you'll never be able to say another thing about it.
Pretty soon we'll have a lot of merch that people can get.
A lot's coming. We got T-shirts coming.
Coffee cups
coming. More long sleeves. Polos. There is a lot coming your way. Caps are coming.
Yeah.
Golfing caps.
Baseball caps.
Whatever. Same thing, but a lot more coming. So look forward to that. But hey, I do want to jump right into it here.
Let's do it.
Deion Sanders took the Colorado job this week. A lot happened in the college, including the college playoffs, which we'll talk about later in this segment. But I want to specifically talk about Deion Sanders, and especially from a father-son position.
Okay.
So Deion's message, a lot of it was clipped out where it says, you can have your Louis and we'll get you out of here, basically telling them to transfer.
Talk about the media clipping and making somebody look bad just based on one or two lines.
That's exactly what it was. Because if you watch the whole entire speech that he gave, basically before that he's saying, if you're not going to play hard, if you're not going to work your ass off every single day, basically saying you will not wear earrings when you are playing or at practice. You will not have your phones in the locker rooms, and especially not at meetings. You will not wear hats when we're having meetings. You are now professional football players, and if you have a problem with any of that, we'll send you out of here in style. We'll give you Louis Vuitton bags, and you can hit the transfer portal and get out of here.
You can say what you want about Deion Sanders, and everybody knows him as primetime. That was his shtick. That was what he made him a lot of money in marketing.
Correct.
As a football player, he's as hard-nosed as they come.
And as a baseball player.
Absolutely.
People forget he was an all-star baseball player while playing football.
Yeah, he played in the MLB and the NFL at the same time and was actually very good.
He was.
Should have been in the World Series, but that's another conversation.
Bobby Cox.
Anyways, I heard the speech, and I first heard the clip, and I'm going, what the hell is he talking about?
Right.
Then I heard the whole thing. And you asked me from a dad, would I let my son play there? I would hope he would be going there.
Yeah.
You know, I want him to go to somebody who's going to say, you're here to play football. We're going to work you. We're going to train you. We're going to make you a better man as well as a better football player.
Well, with the transfer portal the way it is now, I think so many coaches are afraid to say what Deion just said. Deion has the clout to do that. And I'm the same way. If any of my boys ended up wanting to be football players and got really good to the point where they got to go to college, I would send them to play for Deion in 2 seconds flat. I remember playing sports when I was a kid, and you were teaching me about what it means to be not only an athlete, but a good, strong athlete. And you always pointed out Bobby Knight. saying, I would let you play for Bobby Knight in 2 seconds flat because you're not getting away with anything with him. He is going to work you hard. And when you leave that program, you are going to leave that program a better person.
Exactly. Bobby Knight got so much. Everybody saw his on-court antics. But if you talk to his former players, Quinn Buckner, Kent Benson, all of them,
Isaiah Thomas,
to a person, they would have walked through a wall of fire for him.
Every last one of them. And he graduated all of his players. And Deion's been good about that too. Now, he's only had a little bit, so I guess I can't really say that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to college, I think the hardest thing we've seen today, and it scares me with my boys a little bit, because the first time as a parent, you have to trust other people.
Sure, you're giving up
to help with your kids.
You're giving up your kids, and for a lot of it, they're going to be taught by the people you assign.
They're going to have new role models that are different than you. And for me, I want to make sure they go to a place where somebody's going to teach them how to be a man and how to be a better person. And make no mistake, Deion Sanders will teach those boys, because that's what they are.
Now
they're boys.
He will teach
those boys to be men. You want to see hardworking players in the NFL? Send them to Deion Sanders, because, like you said, he was one of the hardest working players on the field. Yes, he was prime time off the field. He earned prime time off.
Correct.
And like you said, it was a shtick. It was his thing. He's loud.
And he backed it all up. It was his thing,
but he backed it all up on the field. If I'm going to talk the talk, I'm going to walk the walk. He shut down the side of the field. I think it's a great hire by Colorado. I think Deion's very smart to take this job, and I think he's going to turn that program around in the next 4 to 5 years.
I think so as well. He's going to force Colorado either into the Big Ten or whatever the Big 12 becomes if they have to merge with the Pac-10. He's going to make it a world-class program, and I think they will be contenders in whatever division they're in for a long time after he gets.
I think so too. I think Colorado is bound to be a Big Ten school at this point. Wouldn't you love to see at this point Colorado in the Big Ten with Deion Sanders as a coach?
Deion Sanders, you've got a lot of high-class coaches there. You know, Ryan Day from Ohio State, Jim Harbaugh, now Luke Fickell, Matt Rule,
Lane Kiffin, Chip Kelly.
As much as I don't like him, Brett Bielema has brought a winning attitude back to Illinois.
Yes. Jeff Brom at Purdue has started to turn that program around.
And Deion Sanders, not to mention USC and UCLA, but Deion Sanders will make Colorado nationally relevant.
He already has.
Yeah.
The fact that people are talking about Colorado now when they never have is amazing. Now, I do, away from Deion, there is a coach that has failed to turn his players into men, and specifically his quarterback.
And who would that be?
I'm talking about Lane Kiffin at USC. Did you see what the quarterback, Caleb Williams, the quarterback, the leader of that team, had written on his fingernails for the actual game against Utah?
Enlighten me.
So one said UTAH, the other one was FU, fill in the blank.
Well, guess what?
During the game.
How'd that work out for him? No discipline. Lane Kiffin needs to address that immediately.
He didn't have that at Oklahoma.
And that won't fly in the Big Ten.
It won't fly in the Big Ten.
It doesn't fly in the Pac-10 or 12 or whatever they are. That's just, I'm sure Kiffin didn't know about it.
I'm sure he didn't. I keep saying Lane Kiffin, and it's not Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's at Ole Miss. It's Riley.
Yes.
Lincoln Riley. I'm so sorry. It's Lincoln Riley who is at USC.
Lane Kiffin decided to stay at Ole Miss.
He's decided to stay at Ole Miss. My apologies.
It's on the show sheet. We just kind of transposed.
Lincoln Riley is the head coach at USC. I don't think Riley knew about that. He doesn't seem like the type of coach that would allow that to fly.
Well, you better send a message now that it's happened.
I mean, Caleb Williams, he was a Heisman Trophy candidate
up until that game.
He didn't even get invited. They sent C.J. Stroud instead of him.
Well, when you do something like that, that's not Heisman material.
It's not.
You look at the former winners of the Heismans, they're all good humans.
Correct. And Reggie Bush should get his Heisman back.
Yes, he should.
Except for what?
Except for the guy from Nebraska back in the day. Not such a good guy. And
turned out to be not a good guy.
OJ, not such a good guy. But they try.
Also, hit it well during their playing time.
Anyways.
Point. But they get to keep their Heisman. Reggie Bush doesn't have his Heisman. That makes no sense to me.
Okay, another topic.
I just want Reggie Bush to get his Heisman back. Reggie Bush is the most electric player to ever play in college football. And the fact that he doesn't have his Heisman over something that's now legal in the NCAA bothers me to the core. Like, it didn't change. It's not like he was using steroids. It'd be different if he was using PEDs. And
they'd let him have his Heisman then.
That's what got him to be so good. He still had to perform no matter what he was given off the field. And he did.
Greatest
Heisman Trophy.
Greatest college championship game I've ever seen.
Oh, hands down. Hands down. It's still the greatest college football national championship of all time, in my opinion. Texas, USC.
Yes.
So good. But that's not even on the show sheet.
Oh, our audience is surprised. We go down and chase squirrels for a minute.
I don't even think there's another national championship, honestly, at least in my lifetime, that even compares to that. I mean, you had the Ohio State-Miami one, but that ended on a very controversial call. It was pass interference. This is all my Miami fans watching.
This is before your time. NC State, when they won the championship and the upset, that was huge. It was football? A great game. No, in basketball.
I'm not talking basketball. There's been a lot of great basketball national championships. I'm talking specifically football. I don't think there's another one that's even come close, because that had a lot of hype going into it with the expectation that USC was going to win.
You had Reggie Bush versus Vince Young.
You had Reggie Bush. You had Matt Leinart. You had Vince Young on that team, who just stole the show. Greatest game.
He kept Texas in the game without Vince Young.
That scramble to the outside.
It was amazing.
I mean, that stays in college football history lore as arguably one of the greatest moments in college football history.
And of course, I'm going to ask the continued question, Green Bay Packers, why did you cut him that year?
I'd love to know that question. I'd love to have the answer to that question, because that was the year that Rodgers got hurt.
Correct.
Because we had Vince Young in training camp.
He looked good in the games he played in.
And we cut all of our other quarterbacks before the fourth game to really give Vince Young the entire game. And then we cut him, signed Seneca Wallace,
who showed up in his street clothes in a game, had to go and get his uniform on.
Right. And then Rodgers gets hurt in week 3, week 2? And Seneca Wallace goes out on the field, clearly doesn't want to be there.
No.
Retires the next day, and we are left scrambling for a quarterback for the rest of the season. I think we ended up with Scott Tolzien and Matt Flynn.
Matt Flynn came back.
So why didn't we have Vince Young?
I don't know, but let's get back to college football.
All right.
So it's college football playoffs coming up.
It is college football.
I think the
playoffs. Ohio State has made the playoffs.
Look, when USC lost, they were done. Ohio State was going to move in. Nick Saban embarrassed himself. He did everything but beg to be in the playoffs.
I mean, he made a good point. If we're favored against any of those teams in the playoffs, then we should be in the playoffs. And that's a fair point.
It is a fair point, but they lost 2.
They lost 2. The only team they'd really be favored against, I think, is TCU. I don't think with Bryce Young injured, they'd be favored against Ohio State. I don't think they'd be favored against Michigan at this point.
And definitely not against Georgia.
TCU earned it.
Look, and TCU, you and I had a lot of talk about this, because the big question was, would they bump Ohio State over TCU so it'd be Michigan, Ohio State in the semifinals? In the end, I think the committee did the right thing.
TCU were in the number 3 spot.
They did, even though they lost, it was a good game.
You don't punish a team for being in a championship game when a team that would have jumped them wasn't in a championship game.
Correct.
You just don't do that. TCU definitely earned the number 3 spot. I was surprised they didn't put Ohio State number 3 with Michigan being number 2, because that would have been the most intriguing game in college football playoff history. It's the greatest rivalry in college football, and now they're playing each other in a semifinal. You're guaranteeing an Ohio State-Michigan semifinal.
You are, but I mean, the big thing is you don't want the committee altering things for the sake of a game.
That's the whole point of the committee. That's the whole point of them having the committee. If they're not going to do that, then bring back the BCS, which I'm in favor of anyways.
Look, I'm not in favor of 12 teams. I'm just not. I think 4 teams is about right.
4 teams is good.
Maybe go to 6.
They're going to 8. 12.
12. Should not be 12. Nobody who's number 12 is going to beat the number 1 team. Just not going to happen. So
it's not. I mean, the 4 conference champions are going to have buys. So you'll never see a 4 against 12 unless they win, or 1 versus 12 unless they earn the chance to be there.
This is all based on going back in the day when Boise State had their magical runs and they beat Oklahoma in a bowl game.
One game.
They were hot at the right time. Oklahoma didn't care if they were there or not.
Great game, by the way.
It was a great game. But that's why it gave them the excuse to expand it. I think 12 is far too many, but it's all about money. My thing is get rid of the bowls at this point. I know that people love the bowls and the spectacle and blah, blah, blah. You can still have the bowl games for people that aren't in the playoffs.
I don't think you should.
In the playoffs? Just
end the season.
Have the playoffs.
Just end the season. I think you've also made it to the point where the regular season doesn't matter as much. Because Alabama would still be in the playoffs, and they lost 2 games. LSU, who lost 4 games at this point, would be in the playoffs. You can't keep them out with 12 teams.
No.
You're going to have a team like Purdue in there because they made it to the Big Ten championship. How could you not put them in there? Or a 2-loss Penn State team would be in there. Penn State would
definitely be in there. The question's, again, going to come in, how many of the Pac-12 teams get in? How many of the other teams get in?
I like the fact that the championship games mean something now. I like that a lot. Like, they finally mean something in the same way they do in the NCAA tournament, where it's like, if you win, you're in.
The key is, though, does the regular season mean anything?
No.
There you go. I mean, you're fighting for position at that point.
Correct. It doesn't mean a thing.
It's going to be...
You need to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. But if you lose, if you're Alabama and you lose to Georgia, or you're LSU and you lose to Georgia, it's never going to be held against you.
Correct. And going into this year's... I'm excited for this year's playoffs. I think TCU gets waxed.
This is the one year where there's no question that you made the right choice. Alabama fans will question it, but the right choices were made.
Here's the question. Georgia's playing Ohio State. Can Ohio State beat Georgia?
They have the talent to do it. They definitely have the talent to beat Georgia. I really believe that. You can call me a homer. That's fine, because I am. But I really think with C.J. Stroud playing the way that he can, and the rest of Ohio State really stepping it up, especially the defense, the way it's looked at the end of the year, not against Michigan, but that's what Michigan does. They're a second-half team.
Correct.
I think that's going to give them a chance. Do I think realistically they win? No, I really don't. I don't think they're going to win this game. But I think that's going to be closer than people think it's going to be.
We can hope.
I tell you what, the Big Ten has to make this statement right here and now, because they do have a lot of new coaches coming in. And if they can make the statement now, I think it's going to make a big difference once USC and UCLA come in with the new coaches that are going to be there.
You've got to give Matt Rule and Luke Fickell at least 3-4 years.
5 years, 5 to 6 years. What have I always said? If you're hiring a college coach, he's there for 6 years.
Correct.
You have to not only give that coach a full recruiting class, which is 4 years, you have to give them 2 years to implement their system once they have a full recruiting class. Look at Jim Harbaugh. 4th year, everybody's calling for his head. 5th year, he finally implements his system. They beat Ohio State and go to the playoffs. This year, they're number 2 in the country and are in the playoffs and can possibly win a national championship.
And it's probably their
year
best.
6.
It's year 6. I think Fickell's going to have to do something faster. I mean, they lost Graham Mertz. I don't know where he's going to go.
He hasn't officially entered the transfer portal yet.
No, but I hope he doesn't. I think he can learn a lot from Fickell. I don't know that he's the quarterback of the future for Wisconsin. I certainly don't think so.
He's not. I really think Wisconsin's going to get that kid from Notre Dame. I think it makes a lot of sense. And if you're making sense, you're making dollars.
And Matt Rule's going to have to do the same thing in Nebraska.
He's going to have a whole new team. You're going to have to be really patient when it comes to Matt Rule. But I think the best thing that's about to happen to Matt Rule in Nebraska is they're about to get a recruiting ground again. Because the worst thing that happened in Nebraska when they left the Big 12, they lost the recruiting ground of Oklahoma and Texas.
And we were talking about that. I do not think they ever considered that.
No.
And it cost them in a big way.
It did. And now they get California, though. And the entire Big Ten has California now, which I think is going to make a big difference to a lot of these teams.
And in the future, I'm sure the Big Ten championship will be in AT&T or SoFi Stadium.
You really think they're going to move it?
Absolutely.
Why?
You have to. You want that LA market. I mean, right now, playing it in Indianapolis, yeah, you get a national audience, but if it's in LA, it's a lot more cachet to it. Make no mistake, it will be there.
Do you think they'll alternate? I mean, it won't be there the next few years because they're signed contracts with Indianapolis for it to be played there for the next few years.
But after that, they may go back and forth, but I think SoFi will be the host for several years.
The only reason they get away with that is because Big Ten fans travel so well.
They do. Exactly. People are going to want to go to LA in January.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to go to Indianapolis in January?
Not in January, in December for the Big Ten championship.
But why wouldn't you want to go to Indianapolis in the middle of December?
I think we know. It's cold.
It's very cold. It is very cold. But hey, it is time for a very special guest. You know her from ESPN and NFL Network and from Sports Talk with Dad. It is time for the one, the only, Tracy Litt. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How are you guys?
Cold.
Yeah, interesting. You have the snow and we don't.
It's true. I should say I'm cold outside. We've learned today that my dad's a reptilian who needs the temperature at 1,000 degrees in the studio, which is why I don't have my cool Sports Talk with Dad shirt on right now, because I'd be dying at this point.
Yeah. Well, I'm cold too, so I'm always cold. I'm always that person. So,
would you be cold in an 86-degree studio?
No, that's a little hot.
Thank you.
It's a big studio. It's a big space, but we don't have any snow. We just have frigid cold weather up here.
Yeah. We have snow now. It's snowing right now.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
There you go. Santa will have someplace to land.
I'll keep the snow there.
So we were talking just before you came on the air. You've got some breaking news for us.
Yeah, so I get home to this. I know one of our topics, and headliner, big high headliner right now, Baker Mayfield. So reports just put in that the Rams claim Baker off waivers. He's no longer going with the 49ers as first anticipated in the last 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked they claimed him off waivers because that means they're absorbing that contract.
This is like I said, this just came to a big surprise because I know a lot of people wanted him to go to the 49ers. Some even saying, like, I even wrote in my notes, Baltimore.
I had heard Baltimore too, which
Lamar Jackson's pretty hurt.
He is hurt.
And a lot of injuries, a lot of stuff happening. When we spoke, a month ago, we were heading into the second half of the season. We already were dealing with a few injuries. Now we're dealing with like a crap load of injuries on the field. Guys, I don't know what's happening there, but yeah, big news, big headline. Baker's going to the Rams, and then the 49ers, Josh Johnson is signed a 1-year deal. He's back.
Okay, so they're going to go with Purdy as their full-time quarterback.
Mr. Irrelevant. It's time to see a Mr. Irrelevant shine.
Yes, and interesting, because when I was doing some research on this, like, we all know that Tom Brady wanted to end the final bit of his career in San Fran, and they were like, you know what, you're a little too like out there for us. And they don't. And if you look at some stats heading in with Baker Mayfield, he's a guy that likes to be in the spotlight. So it seems like 49ers, they just want someone who wants to play. It doesn't want to do commercials or endorsements. They just want a player. So it seems to be pretty fitting right now.
Well, here's a question for you. I'm going to jump in because I know you have lots of questions.
Go ahead.
But since we're on the topic of San Francisco here, so I made, I'm sure as you know, the bold yet accurate claim that the Green Bay Packers are about to go back to back to back Hall of Fame quarterbacks because Jordan Love looked like a Hall of Fame quarterback last week.
He played 2 series.
And so did Aaron Rodgers against Dallas. It's the same feeling I had. It made me warm and fuzzy. I already ordered his autograph for my Christmas present to myself.
Tracy, talk to the boy because it's been impossible to live with the last few days.
Packers say they've made a huge investment, but the issue is that he has a $60 million cap hit next year for the Green Bay Packers. Rodgers does. And that can't be allowed to fly. My prediction last week was that he was going to go to the Jets because the Jets will not only pay that, they're a quarterback away in the same way the Vikings were, I believe, when Favre was there. However, now you have the San Francisco 49ers, the team that was supposed to draft him in the first round with the number 1 overall pick. Am I crazy? Are the Packers keeping Aaron Rodgers, or is it time to be loving it in Green Bay?
You know, I had the same feeling. I was saying it's the season of love. This was my vibe, but I'm pretty sure that the Packers, the last I read, was they were actually promising that they were keeping Aaron Rodgers. Now, my opinion when it comes to Rodgers, because, you know, it's my love-hate relationship with a man that I can't stand his hair. I think it's time that he is dealt what he gets served. He just gets what he deserves. Okay. He has been a jerk on and off the field. And I just feel like now's the time he needs to feel that sting. And we need to push him over to the side a little bit, have Jordan Love come in because he's proven, like the Packers are saying, this is a rock star quarterback. He's ready. It's love time, like you say. It's time to make some love. I agree.
Look,
I do want to say, hold on, Aaron Rodgers, if you're listening, those are her words, not mine. I love you. Always.
I love Aaron Rodgers. Don't get me wrong. But come on, let's talk about the hair. Let's talk about the hair for a second. No, I think that, you know, okay, he had a great game the other day.
He did, but he shaved his head. I mean, that look he was rocking earlier this season made no sense.
No.
It's not, whatever it was, the Wyatt, what's he take? Ayahuasca haircut he had.
It's not something you take, I don't think, necessarily. I don't really know anything about it, but it's not like a recreational thing.
Well, it's screwed with his head. Because look at his hair.
Yeah, it's screwed with his head to the point where he had 2 MVPs.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just feel like Aaron Rodgers just needs to focus on his game, be a team player, and if he has to move over for the sake of winning something, then maybe it's time that he just takes the scale back. Now, I don't think this is the time where he should be being very dominant because remember, he wants to have a bigger role with the franchise. Right. So it's time to be a team player. You see someone else who's going to get you that ring. Like, why not?
I will give Kyle credit because he said that the day he was drafted, that he would end up being an even bigger diva than Brett Favre. And he really is. He is the biggest diva I've ever seen at quarterback.
So it fits New York so well. I really think he'd do well with the Jets.
I don't think the Packers trade him. I don't know.
They need to do something about that $60 million cap hit. That cannot carry over into next year.
And here's my question. Once the Packers are out, why wouldn't you play Love at that point just to see what he can do?
Yeah, I mean, that is the big debate right now. I mean, why not just put him in? Why not? Like, they're not going to lose anything. I mean, he's proven that he can do it. He's proven that he does have a solid career. He is a rock star. And it's time that maybe the Packers just reset this franchise, reset the field. Let's see what's going on that bench.
Or reload. I mean, he did show swagger. I'll give you that. I'm still not bought into Love, but
I have the t-shirt on the way that says back to back to back on it. I will give you yours for Christmas and you can wear it on the show.
This might be deep rooted, Tim. Maybe you don't believe in love for a reason. I don't know.
You don't gamble. You don't take a 3rd round pick in the 1st round, but they did. He panicked.
All you need is love. The Beatles said that.
All you need is love. And you know what? Well, what have we learned season after season? This game is so unpredictable, especially this year. not only with just the injuries, but look at the teams that you didn't expect at this point of the season that could be Super Bowl ready, like almost there. So I don't know. I think that, I mean, you got a coach. We talked about that the last time, the coach that has no experience. So
Correct.
maybe it is time to change up things in the way that things are doing, that everyone's doing.
Well, there's nobody's irreplaceable. And if somebody's going to give, as was reported, that San Francisco offered Green Bay 4 first-round draft picks, you take it and run. No matter how good a guy is, nobody's irreplaceable when you have to have a full team.
Especially when all you need is love.
Oh, stop. I mean,
I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah, it's going to be there forever.
I said the season of love. You've got a whole song dedicated to this.
Well, John Lennon was the walrus. I could be the walrus, but I still have to bum rides off people.
Very good, Ferris Bueller.
Thank you so much for catching
Love
the
hurts.
reference.
Okay, here's my question.
Love hurts.
Now that Baker Mayfield is in LA, Matt Stafford, this is probably a swan song, you think?
I don't know what's going on with this. I mean, are you guys shocked? I mean, we can go back to Baker right now. Are you guys shocked that he's now signed with the Rams?
It doesn't surprise me that the Rams tried to block San Francisco from getting him, but I don't think he fits in San Francisco. I don't think he was going to be the answer. He's never played in that system. He's more of an LA guy. I don't
think that the 49ers really wanted him, to be honest. I know the timing of Baker and everything. I mean, obviously good timing on his part, but and I mean, the universe works in mysterious ways, but I really don't think that the 49ers really wanted him.
I don't think so either. And here's going to be the question. They'll see what Purdy can do to finish out this season. But you're right back to where you started from next season with Trey Lance versus Jimmy Garoppolo. Something's got to give there.
Yeah, I'm still very sad about Jimmy G right now.
Oh, that was my Super Bowl pick.
Aladdin is down. He is off on his magic carpet ride for the rest of the season.
I don't know. You get that. I always have to laugh every time you call him Aladdin because you know what? Jimmy G.
He looks just like Aladdin.
He does not look like Aladdin.
He is real life Aladdin.
In your mind.
I don't know how you guys don't see it. He looks he's a Disney prince.
There's similarities, but yeah.
Put the little hat on him, give him a monkey, and he is Aladdin.
Well, he may need that monkey to help him get around these days. Very sad. I mean, you couldn't help but feel bad for Jimmy.
Yeah.
Well, and
this was supposed to be his year. This was it. They were going to the Super Bowl.
It all played out that way. Trey Lance had taken over. He gets hurt. Jimmy steps in, is supposed to take him on this magic carpet ride.
Bingo.
To the Super Bowl. He was my pick for the Super Bowl.
Because Jimmy G can show you the world.
So let's talk about the NFC and the AFC championships. We told you the last time you were on, we were going to put you on the spot.
So, yeah, this is what I do, okay? I make my notes, and then I scribble things. We've called this the season that you cannot predict. What we thought when we first started this season versus now, I never thought that I would be saying there's a possibility. There's a possibility.
Okay.
Like we could be talking Cowboys.
There is.
Like I almost in my mouth right now. Okay. Because
I did do that in my mouth right now.
Yeah.
Listen, how magic would it be if Mike McCarthy got another Super Bowl?
Terrible. Awful.
Why? Cheer for former Packers that win a Super Bowl.
I don't like the Cowboys. Do you think they can beat Jalen Hurts?
Do you know what? Like, they're looking really good. And you say that I had to say it like I was whispering so that nobody could hear me say this. But yeah, I mean, if Dax keeps showing up, if Dak is going to keep doing what he's doing, because remember, we had second guessed him there for a little bit. And now he's like throwing it in our face because we actually did that.
He has certainly come around.
We were in a rush to wipe him away. Get it, Cooper?
I mean,
was the backup who came in.
We were ignoring you is what we're doing.
Fair enough. Just want to make sure you understood it.
Tom Brady's not going to do anything this year. I don't think.
I don't know. I know we said he wasn't going to go down as the clown for the second half of the season. And I felt like even though he is still having his hissy fits, which we saw the other night, last night, crying on the sidelines, blaming everybody else, pointing fingers, but they came back. I mean, they won the game. What was it, by 1 point? But still.
Yeah, but they came back in a game that should have never been that close.
But
that's every game, every Sunday, every Monday, every Thursday. I mean,
the thing about Brady is he throws those hissy fits. He looks like a fool on the sideline and then comes out and throws a game-winning touchdown pass.
Yeah, I think that he's in the game now. I think he's over his personal life right now. Like all that has settled.
Right.
And he's making sure that, you know what, he's proving a point right now.
Yeah, well, he got Giselle back. They're back together now.
No, they're not. Are they really?
They were caught hanging out.
When? I didn't get this headline.
Like a week ago, I saw a headline about that they were hanging out together.
For the son's birthday or something?
I don't know.
Was it for his birthday?
Yeah,
I also thought headline news that thing and ran with it. So I don't know the details at all. I just saw the headline.
2 weeks ago, her karate instructor, jiu-jitsu instructor, was helping her move into her new home, which is it right beside or across the street? I think it's right beside Brady. Like they could literally swim to each other's houses because you know what? Nothing says I'm over you like moving right beside your ex.
So Kanye did. Seems to be working out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's Kanye. Yeah. That's
Kanye.
Or Yee now. Is that his name?
Whatever it is, we don't talk about him on this show.
Yeah.
Well, so you've heard that there's a whole conspiracy theory now about that divorce, and I'm all for it. So research. I'm not getting into it now, but look it up because it's amazing.
Okay. Brady has been rumored to be with Paige Sporanic at one point and all these other well-known. I can't see that as a former married person myself. I don't think it would be healthy to have your ex bringing other people over. It just wouldn't sit well.
Would the divorce make sense if it just saved you $50 million? Research it. Look it up. It's a whole thing. I'm moving on.
We'll talk about it
later.
Go.
Okay. Next week on the gossip edition
exactly. The Christmas gossip edition of Sports Talk with Dad. Well,
Oh, I'm all for that.
Well, you know, I've made my notes because I knew you guys were going to ask me like the Super Bowl predictions and who I was thinking.
So what do you think?
So originally, this is what I write. This is what I originally wrote down earlier today. When it comes to Super Bowl prediction, who are we going to see on the field? Now, I had KC versus Dallas. Then I scratched that out, and I'm like, well, maybe Bills and Cowboys. If they'd have some wild card stuff going on. Well, what about, then I put Chiefs and Eagles on here. Again, Eagles, did we ever think we were going to be talking about them when it comes to Super Bowl? Or Vikings versus Philly?
That won't happen.
This is what I have going on in my head right now, okay? So
the Vikings will not be there.
I mean, I could easily see a Viking Philadelphia NFC Championship. I have no doubt that that's a real life possibility.
Vikings lose in the first round. They are complete.
They've made it to the Super Bowl.
No, but I just think they're the frauds of all the teams. They've won the least. They may be 10-2, but when they had to play the Cowboys, they were rolled.
They're like the Brewers of the NFL.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're going to see. I really am feeling confident about the Vikings and Philly.
NFC Championship game?
Could be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on the AFC side?
So I think we're going to see KC. So we're going to see the Chiefs and the Bills. Rematch. Mahomes is making sure he owns Allen right now. He's going to make sure the same thing doesn't happen again because we felt that. As excited as you were because the Bills were moving forward last season, you did feel kind of like, oh man, like you were kind of heartbroken for Mahomes. And I think that this is why we're going to definitely see the Chiefs heading into the Super Bowl. Originally, I was hands down the Bills, but I think Mahomes is going to make sure he owns his spot this year. I mean, he's making enough money. He might as well do it too.
So you're saying the Chiefs and Dallas or Philadelphia for your Super Bowl pick?
I don't know. I had KC, so I had Kansas City and Dallas, and I had the Bills and Cowboys as a possibility. Then I had KC and Eagles, Vikings, Philly. But I feel like definitely I am probably 90% sure we're going to see the Chiefs there. We're going to see Kansas City there for the Super Bowl. I can't predict anything. So this is why you guys are going to be schooling me on predictions right now, because I'm indecisive and I'm all over the board right now.
So I think you're right with the NFC. Dallas could easily be there. Matter of fact, I'm leaning that way right now. Philadelphia has been the team all year, but I think they may have peaked a little bit early. I've seen some gaps in them the last few weeks. So if somebody put a gun to my head right now, I'd take Dallas, and it's not going to be Denver. We know that. I'd say Dallas and Kansas City would be my in-the-house favorites.
I think Philly's an unmovable object right now in a very weak NFC. You know who's been surprising me and who could easily repeat as AFC Super Bowl contenders?
Cincinnati
Bengals. Football Jesus has returned.
He is playing well.
He is playing out of his mind.
I agree with you 100% on that one. And as I said, you can't predict anything right now because, Thursday night, Sunday, Monday, next week, we could be saying something completely different.
I mean, I'll predict all day long and then pretend like I didn't predict it when I was wrong. That's
you can never admit when you're wrong, can you?
I wasn't wrong.
You just weren't right.
I just misinterpreted my thoughts.
Oh, you don't communicate well. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, we know I don't communicate well. You've seen the show. Like, it's all over the place.
No, you guys, I will say this is the time to say it. Kudos and congratulations on everything with your show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For where you are and how far you've come in such a short amount of time, you guys should be very proud of yourself. And I know Canadians on this, so we are watching you. We love your show and we want more. So I think you might have to be giving us a little bit more for year 2.
I think that is a definite possibility. And the show it's been a passion project. It's been so much fun to be able to do this with Kyle and to have you on as well. It's been a fun year. We're going to do an anniversary show at the New Year's Eve probably. But so far it's been fun. We've had a great time doing it.
You know what I'm going to do after 1 year doing this show? Take a nice nap after Christmas Day.
Yes, you have been busy. I mean, that's the thing. It's not only, coming on and watching a show and when we're talking about predictions and we're talking about headlines, there is so much that goes into it on the back end. And then, of course, when we think we have topics and you come on a show, what happes? The topics completely change because
Baker Mayfield goes to the Rams.
Exactly.
And I was like, okay, he's going to probably go to the Ravens. Okay, maybe the Rams, maybe 49ers. But then, like we said, you look at the bigger picture. 49ers, they don't want the glitz and the glam. They want someone to play the game. So obviously, I think everything has landed where it should be.
Listen, when you have a Disney prince, why would you accept anything else?
All I know is I am still pulling for San Francisco, and I'm ignoring you right now. I would love to see Purdy
do it. I mean, we've seen this happen before. As I said, there's been teams where they didn't have their quarterback in, and they were able to pull it off.
Yeah, look at the Eagles when they won it all, right? Nick Foles steps in after Carson Wentz is having an MVP-like season. Nick Foles comes in and takes him to the Super Bowl and wins it.
So maybe there's a fairy tale ending at the end of this season. Who knows?
I would love to see San Francisco, as much as I don't like the team. I would love to see them with Doug Purdy get to the Super Bowl, or at least the NFC Championship game.
All I have to say, guys, is you have not mentioned the Packers once, and they are not mathematically out of it yet.
Yes, they are.
What do you want to say about them, though?
I love them. I don't know. I don't have a point. I mean, they're going to be mathematically out of it pretty quick here, but I can still hold on to hope. I mean, I'm used to holding on to hope. I've been a Cubs fan my entire life, so I've had to live off hope for a long time. This is a familiar feeling.
I think they found somebody in Christian Watson
Oh, for
He is
sure.
turning out to be a stud this year. Their front office needs a shakeup.
Yeah. GM's got to go.
So let's say we take Aaron Rodgers off the field right now. Where do you see him in this organization? Where would you guys like to see him with the Packers?
On the Ring of Honor, his number retired, and cheering us on from a distance.
I think we're at the point where you either have to make a commitment to Jordan Love and to say, okay, we're going with you, and thank Rodgers for all he did and let him move on to a different team, or Rodgers is going to have to pull the trigger and look at the Packers and go, it's time, I'm moving on.
I want to see Aaron Rodgers win another Super Bowl. He's not going to do it in Green Bay.
No. And I felt like it's like if you look at a toddler or a kid that does not want to do something and mom and dad make him do it over and over again, and then there's kicking and screaming and temper tantrums. I felt like that is what we are seeing when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. And now's the time to give some tough love and say, like, okay, dude, you know what? We hear you. We see you. Goodbye. Good luck. It's time to move forward with the season of love.
I think you're right, because Matt LaFleur is never going to stand up to him. Never, ever, ever.
No, Aaron Rodgers is older than him.
Right. and we were talking about it earlier. If you want to get somebody, if you really want Rodgers to stay, and you want somebody that's going to actually stand up to them because they've got more gravitas than he does, you go out and try to bring in Sean Payton.
Yeah.
That's the only way, and I don't see Green Bay doing that.
I don't think so either. I think Tracy's right. It's the season of love time. You know, the McDonald's, I'm loving it. It's time to make it happen. McDonald's, come on, just give us a sponsorship for that.
I was thinking the same thing.
I've repped that like 6 times now. It's free advertisement.
Yeah,
but it's time to move on. It's time for Aaron Rodgers to go and win a Super Bowl, either in San Francisco or in New York, and for us to restart.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to speak about Aaron Rodgers and have something really good to say. Like, have a great headline. I think he needs to realize that the bad headlines and you know, the cocky attitude just needs to be put over to the side. And I get it. We've talked about ego on the field. There's a lot of egos on the field, and it's time for him to maybe just lay his ego to rest, let it simmer for a little bit on the back burner, and see what's going to happen.
He doesn't always have to be the smartest kid in the room.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be that guy.
Yeah.
Be that guy, Aaron. Be it. I'm all for it. Tracy, as always, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to speaking with you very soon. I'm sure in the new year, we're going to have a fun conversation come playoff time.
I think so. Thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate it. Keep up the great work.
Thanks Tracy. Talk soon. So how does it feel to be you right now, having multiple people tell you that Jordan Love is the answer in Green Bay?
He looked better when he was in the game. I liked the swagger he had. I think he made some on-target passes. Tom Clements should be given a raise for what he's done with Love. That's obvious, because from last year to this year, it can only be because of one person, and that's Tom Clements. However, Rodgers is still the best quarterback in the game, but I don't know that there's enough around him.
There's not.
To rebuild the team and get a Super Bowl competitive next year.
Not with that cap hit coming in, not with everything else you have. Gutekunst had his chance this year to do that, and he didn't. All you need is love now. Because all you need is love.
Stop.
It wasn't. All you need is love.
You saw Tracy roll her eyes. It wasn't good then. It's not good now.
All you need is love. Love is all you need.
The problem is, if you were a good singer, it would be one thing. But you sing like me. You can't carry a tune in a bushel basket.
I'm a beautiful singer, and I just proved that on Sports Talk with Dad.
So you brought up an interesting concept to me the other day. You sent me a picture of Aaron Rodgers.
Are we going to talk about this?
In a uniform that looked like the Milwaukee Bucks uniform.
You told me we weren't going to talk about this. I'm really excited now.
So where did that come from?
I don't know. I found it online.
I think it'd be... I think it would be insane and it'd be interesting to have the Bucs wear Packers uniforms.
So once again, you're skipping ahead of the story. You need to break down what we're talking about so the audience understands what we're talking about.
Just looked at you and said, "Where'd you get this from?" And that's where you should have jumped in and explained it.
Fair. I missed my cue.
Yes, you did.
I apologize.
Thank you.
No, so I found a picture online of the Packers, and it was Aaron Rodgers in a Bucs jersey. You can see it right here. And it made me think, are we missing an opportunity here with teams in the same state of switching up uniforms for a game? Should the Packers wear, not the ones I just showed, those are hideous, and nobody should ever wear those. Those were ugly on basketball team. But if they're ugly on a football team.
If they wore the little buck head.
But if they wore the little buck head on the helmet for a game?
And wear darker green
and wear the Green Bay Bucks for a game? And then the Bucks were the Milwaukee Brewers for a game? And then the Brewers were the Milwaukee Packers for a game?
It'd be
How cool would that be?
So if you're in St. Louis, it would be the Cardinals and the Blues that'd switch.
They'd switch.
Detroit, it could be the Lions, the Tigers, or the Pistons. I was almost went to Lions and Tigers and Bears.
I knew you were going there. I was wondering if you were going to say it.
Stop. Cincinnati, you've got all the Ohio teams, which would be interesting to see.
You could. I mean, really what you'd do is you'd have the Cleveland Browns and the Guardians switching uniforms. Guardians now. And then you'd have the Reds and the Bengals switching uniforms for a game.
It would be interesting.
It'd be awesome.
I don't know if the NBA and the NFL could ever work that way together.
New York, Brooklyn, and the Knicks would pick a team.
LA would do it.
LA would do it with the teams that they have. You know, one's the Angels, one's the Dodgers, one's the Clippers, one's the Lakers. You just mix and match from there. I mean, really, you choose in that situation. You have the B teams, which is the Chargers, the Angels, and the Clippers, and then you have the A teams, which is the Rams, the Lakers, and the Dodgers. They'd all switch uniforms.
Well, the A team was from LA, so that would be.
I don't know what you mean. Oh, that TV show.
TV show. Great TV show.
Mr. T. That's all I know. Clubber Lang.
George Peppard from Breakfast at Tiffany's later on in life.
I've only seen that movie once.
Great movie. You should see it again.
Yeah, it was Crystal's favorite movie.
Buddy Epson was in it. Anyways, I think it'd be worthwhile doing. I mean,
it'd be fun.
I would like to see teams like Green Bay change their uniforms. We've talked about it. Go to the all blackout and use a green G. And that, honestly, I'd love your comments in here. Please do your thing.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making
that.
it.
But put in the comments you think you'd like to see your favorite football team wear your favorite NBA teams, if you're in a city, uniforms.
I think it's great for the states. You look at Chicago, you have the Bulls, you have the Bears, you have the Cubs, you have the White Sox. They can all mix and match. You have in Florida, you got a whole bunch of different teams. You got the Lightning, who could switch uniforms with the Buccaneers. Ooh. You got the Rays.
Okay, that might be bad.
For the Lightning, it probably wouldn't look great.
I think the Lightning uniforms on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would look fantastic.
Or you do, okay, well then the Rays go to the Lightning, and then the Buccaneers are worn by the Rays. That would actually look pretty cool in a baseball uniform.
Nobody will look good in the Buccaneers uniforms. The Buccaneers,
a cool baseball uniform.
The Buccaneers don't look good in the Buccaneers uniforms.
I like the Buccaneers uniforms. Ugh. They can go creamsicle if they wanted to. Can you imagine that in the hockey team? Oh, that would be real bad.
My eyes.
But Jacksonville could switch with Orlando.
Sure.
With the Magic. You got all the Miami teams that could switch around. I think it's a great opportunity just to cross market for all these different teams and something that brings the cities together. And plus, all of a sudden, you have football teams selling baseball uniforms and hockey uniforms, and you have hockey teams selling football jerseys and baseball uniforms. It just adds to cross-platform marketing. I think would be a great
Considering we said that Rodgers should think about going to the Jets, and the very next day, it was announced that Rodgers might be going to the Jets. As soon as we say this, you may see this happen.
I need to post it quick because everybody beat me last time. We recorded these in advance. And I need to get quicker at putting these out because I say something or you say something.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it's out in the news and it's like, no, I just said it.
We reversed.
But no proof. No proof. But that's okay.
That's okay. Anyways, this has been a fun show.
It has been.
I love having Tracy on.
I do too.
College football is going to be very interesting. I cannot wait for the
is.
playoffs.
I'm a Colorado fan now.
I am too.
I'm actually going to go. I have a Colorado sweatshirt. It doesn't fit me anymore.
No. You've had that for a long time.
I've had it for a very long time. I didn't realize how skinny I was when I was a kid. Somebody could have told me. But it definitely doesn't fit me anymore. But I am officially a Colorado fan with Deion Sanders being there.
And put in the comments below if you would let your kids go and play for Deion.
Yeah, we really miss saying the comments below. So just take this moment and place it in the rest of the episode and leave your comments throughout.
Thought about that as we're going, God, we never invited comments today.
We didn't. But it is time for the scariest moment of all. Any last words? Gas prices are down. I don't want to hear about gas today.
I'm not going to say anything. Not going to go down that road. This is a hard week for me. Very hard week.
Because you're old?
I don't have birthdays. We don't acknowledge it.
Sunday, December 11th. Wish me happy birthday.
Yeah, it's coming up.
152 years old.
61. Let's not push it. But I will tell you.
You're the age you were born.
That's true. I was born in 61.
1761.
I really hate you. In all that time, I've learned a lot of lessons, made a lot of mistakes, but getting older, a lot of things have gotten better. You know, having you around has been a lot better. Your brother, your sister. I'm a better dad now than I was many years ago, obviously. But take this time. The one thing I want to do is take this birthday and just thank the people that are in my life because they have made all these years even better. I wish your uncles were still here. I wish your aunt was still here, your grandparents, but they did a great job. I was completely blessed to have the best parents and the best brothers and sisters. Even though my brothers gave me a hard time,
brothers
picked on me. That's what they're there for. So that's going to be it for the day for my comments. Just go out, enjoy the gifts God's given you, and get ready for Christmas.
Well, ditto. We're extremely excited to have you around as well. We're very thankful that you're still around after being born in 1761.
And by the way, happy St. Nick's Day, because we're recording this on the feast day of St. Nicholas.
For those of you that don't know St. Nick's Day, look it up. We're coming to the end of the show, so I'm not going to get into it. I should have went into it early in the show, but I'll get into the history of it next time.
I never heard of it until I got...
It's a very Catholic holiday. It's a very German Catholic holiday.
Germans are usually Lutherans.
I know, but it's
yes, it
Catholics focus on saints. It is very German Catholic holiday. My mom is a very German Catholic, so
part
Italian, apparently part French. I don't know. Grandma's kind of losing her mind, and wherever.
No, she just had German and Italian, both Axis powers wrapped up into one person.
Well, and I got German, Italian, and Irish, which is why I can't drink. And on that note, it's been a great episode. Thank you so much for tuning in for the first year. We got a couple more episodes left in this year to wrap up our first year. But thank you so much for an amazing year, an amazing run with this show. We are very excited for year 2, and we get to enjoy the year 2 because of you. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next time. This has been Sports Talk with Dad.
Bye, everybody.